Put on your buffs, everyone. It's Maul, and today we have another Survivor video. So my last video, I went ahead and predicted the Survivor Edge of Extinction season, and so far I'm doing pretty well. You know, the first person voted out, I got right. Reem, sorry Reem, you got voted out, but hey, I got it right. Now, if it goes to plan, Julie should be voted out next, but honestly, I don't see her going out. I mean, maybe, but I don't want to say it, but I want to say like one of the returning players might have it, but I don't want that to happen. But anyway, that's not this video. We're not talking about Edge of Extinction. In fact, we're talking about every other season from Survivor. That's right. This video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite contestant from each Survivor season. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't seen every season. I've seen 32 out of 37 seasons, which is, that's 87%. That's not quite an A, but yeah. So I hadn't seen Africa, Marquesas, Thailand, All Stars, or Vanuatu. I've seen like half of Vanuatu, so I'll probably go off like the half I did see. But yeah, I hadn't seen those seasons, which is unfortunate because like 4 and 5, they're not really like sought after. I don't think they're one of the least ranked seasons, so I didn't really watch them. I'll probably watch them after this, but I don't know. I came up with this video. I don't know. I was looking at my videos like in the past, and I had a top 20 favorite contestants, and I was like, hey, why not do my favorite contestant from each season, which will be a lot longer, but hey, what are you gonna do? I mean, this is probably gonna be a long video. I'm not sure. It could be anywhere between 15 minutes and 40 minutes. I don't know how long I'm gonna spend on each person, but I don't know, we'll see. So without further ado, let's get this video started with Borneo. Now, it's been a while since I saw Borneo. Of course, Borneo was the very first season of Survivor. It was with Richard Hatch and, you know, all those older people. And they didn't know what they were getting into. All they knew was that it was an adventure show. But the person I remember cheering for a lot was Colleen. She was like the young girl. I don't know. I just found her adorable. Like, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, every season has like such different characters, such different personalities. Like, the person I go for is normally like the strategic type or the adorable type, or, you know, just the underdog type. You know what I mean? Like, those are people I go for. And like, I don't know. I like Colleen a lot. I remember like rooting for her just because she was like cute. She was adorable. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of these favorite people I thought were cute. Like, I don't know. Like, am I the only one who like finds like an adorable girl and like wants her to win? Like, that's literally what I do like every season. But yeah, and then you root for them. But anyway, like Colleen, she's my number one. Honorable mention is Rudy. I liked Rudy. I went ahead and chose a guy and a girl for each season. So Rudy was my guy. He was just an old guy. He made a bunch of jokes, and I don't know, I really liked him. He was cool. Okay, Australian Outback. I actually watched this recently. I watched it very late. I really apologize, but I found myself cheering for Elizabeth a lot. Yeah, I really liked Elizabeth. She was like that Colleen type. Like she was like likable and adorable. And, you know, I don't know. I just really liked her in that season. Like, this list isn't for like the best player of the season or the winner of the season. That would be boring. I want to go through like the people that I like, the person that you rooted for the entire season, the person you wanted to win it all. And I found wanting her to win it all most of the season, even though I already knew who was gonna win. I already knew Tina was gonna win, but I don't know. I found myself cheering for Elizabeth. I didn't realize she like did so well, because I knew she was like a talk show host now. I just didn't realize she did so well on Survivor. But yeah, that's mine. Next up, we have one I have seen. That's Amazon. I loved Heidi in the Amazon, dude. I loved Heidi. I love how the first 3 people I chose were like all like the hot girls, but I don't know. I loved Heidi. She was just adorable, dude, and she was smart too. I found myself like wanting her to win over Jenna. Like, it was weird because like she hasn't come back yet, and I feel like if she came back, she could potentially win. Like, even like today's Survivor, I feel like she'd be like strategic enough to like win. So bring back Heidi, you know? Like, I don't know, like bring her back. Also, she was left off my top 20 hottest Survivor people list. I highly apologize. That was before I watched the Amazon, and wow, if I would have watched it before, she would have definitely been on the list. She was great. I really like Heidi. Honorable mention was Rob Sesternino. He was he was probably the first like really big strategic player in Survivor, I think. Like, he was the guy who invented the flop, basically the flip. So he was, he got he got crucified at the time, but now he look back and like, wow, he really did. Next up is Pearl Islands. I chose Rupert. I mean, who doesn't like Rupert? He was one of the most popular people of that season of like the early Survivor. These are like the Survivor pioneers, you know. Honorable mention, I chose Sandra because, you know, the 2-time winner. Yeah, who doesn't like Sandra, you know? 2-time winner. She was great. Next up, we have All Stars. I never watched All Stars because I just said that I would watch like every season before All Stars and then watch All Stars. I just never got around to it. So in hindsight, I really should have watched all these seasons, but I kind of wanted to make this video just because like I know like everyone else. Trust me, after these two, I'm gonna know what I'm talking about for each season afterward. Trust me, like yeah. So for this one, I chose Rob again. I don't know. I feel like everyone hated Rob. Like, since I didn't watch the season, I really don't know. I didn't choose Amber because she didn't really do much in Australia. So I don't know. I gotta watch this season to find out, and I apologize for not watching it in advance. And the last season I hadn't seen is Vanuatu. Again, I saw half of Vanuatu, but I decided to choose Eliza just because she has the best reactions to things. She's freaking hilarious. And Micronesia, her reactions were awesome. I couldn't choose her for Micronesia, so I decided to choose her for this one. I just wanted to put her in a video. She's really one of my favorite contestants just because like she's not like the best competitor, but she was just like, I don't know. She was likable. I really liked it. All right, next up we have Palau. Now, Palau was the season where Stephanie got all the way to the end of her tribe. She outlasted her entire tribe and to a one-person tribe. That was pretty crazy. But I chose Jen. I really liked Jen. She was really nice. Unfortunately, she did pass away. So, like, that's like a sympathy thing. But I really liked her in the season. She was nice. She was cool. My honorable mention was Tom. Oh yeah, my honorable mention in Vanuatu was Chris, by the way. Next up, we have Guatemala. And this time I did choose Steph. I actually liked her in this season. She like, I don't think she performed as well as Palau, but I don't know, I just liked her. There wasn't really any like other person I really rooted for. And since I knew who Steph was, it was like, hey, I'm going for Steph, you know. My honorable mention was Rafe. Rafe was pretty cool. Rafe is one of the more underrated contestants, I believe, of all time. Like, he should have like been invited back because he was a pretty good strategic player. And I don't know, I feel like Rafe could do well in like a newer season. Like, yeah, like maybe like a second chance too, you never know. Next up we have Panama, and I choose Shane. Shane was hilarious, dude. Oh my gosh, there's so many iconic moments with Shane. He was another one of those like really good one-time players. I just realized like 3 people I'd chosen are like all one-time players. But yeah, Shane was great with the BlackBerry and like, hey Siri, can you check on my that was funny. And yeah, speaking of Siri, my honorable mention was Siri because who doesn't like Siri? But yeah, Shane, I want Shane to come back. He could have gotten back on second chances, but America didn't choose him, unfortunately. He would have been hilarious in that season. I just want to see an old man Shane, you know, that would be pretty cool. But next up, we have Cook Islands, one of my favorite seasons. I love Cook Islands. I just rewatched the first episode recently, and it just brought me back. Like, it brought me back, dude. I love that season. I chose Parvati as my favorite, even though this was like before like prime Parvati. This was like pre-Parvati when she only got like 8th, you know. I chose her just because, you know, she's that hot girl. Who doesn't love the hot girl? And other than her, I didn't really see anyone I really like rooted for. Like, I can't really think of anyone other than Ozzy. I really liked Ozzy a lot too. Ozzy and Yule, pretty much that entire alliance were like Ozzy, Yule, Becky. Was it Becky? Yeah, Becky and Sundra. That foursome. Like, whenever their entire tribe mutinied and they ended up getting to the end, I thought that was pretty cool. But in the end, I chose Parvati. I really liked her. Next up, we have Fiji, and I chose Michelle Yee, one of the most ripped off players in Survivor history. Now, if I remember correctly, like, they had a tribe swap, and then it was like, no. It was like during the merge, and then like they split everyone off into 2, and then the group that she got in had like none of her alliance members, and then they voted her off. I thought that was pretty crappy. I really like Michelle. She was another one of those adorable players. Like, I don't know, I really liked her a lot, and I think she needs a second chance as well. Man, I should have just named this the Pretty Girls Who Need a Second Chance video. But yeah, Michelle, I think she should come back. And honorable mention was Yao Man. I mean, who doesn't love Yao Man, dude? Yao Man was adorable. He was great. I really liked the Yao Man. Next up, we have China, and I chose Courtney, another adorable girl. I don't know. I really loved Courtney. I really wanted her to, like, I don't know, I wanted her to win when I was watching it, even though I already knew Todd would win. And I knew that Courtney was, like, I want to say Courtney was in the final 3. I really don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was her and Amanda and Todd, but I could be wrong. But I don't know. She was hilarious. She was adorable. I tend to really like the adorable and hilarious characters, as you can probably tell. But yeah, I chose Courtney. Her thing with John Robert was pretty funny too. So Courtney is my other one, and the honorable mention is Todd, just the winner. You know, if you hadn't noticed, I hadn't chosen a winner for like any of these. Like, I don't know. I've realized that the person I choose to win normally doesn't win, but we'll see. Micronesia, we have Parvati. Now this is, as soon as I say that, the winner, this is my favorite one. But we have Parvati, and Parvati was great in this season. She led the Black Widow Brigade, and that alliance she had with her, Amanda, Suri, and Natalie was just amazing. And the fact that they got Eric to give up the necklace was that was crazy. Parvati, that's the season that proves she was like a great competitor. She was a great player, and now she's arguably the greatest player of all time. Can we say that? I think it's between her and Rob. Maybe I have to make a video about that. I don't know if you want to see that. That'd be great. Honorable mention, James. I really like James. He was just that big buff dude, you know. He was I like James a lot. Next up, we have Gabon, and I don't know. I didn't really have anyone I really like rooted for in this season. Like, I mean, yeah, Bob, he was cool, but I don't know. I just didn't really like. I don't know. But I chose Ken just because it's just that unassuming, you know, little nerd guy. No one really thought anything of him, you know. Like, he was just that nerd, that video game nerd. But then he ended up doing pretty well for himself, even though, like, I think he did blow up on some person. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen Gabon, but yeah, I chose Ken. And honorable mention, I didn't really have one. I guess I'll say Bob, but since I had to choose a girl, I said Sugar. I really looked at like all the girls, and like I didn't really like root for any of the girls. Like, I don't know. Token teams, we have Steven Fishback. Now that one could be a little surprising. Why didn't you choose JT? Because everyone chooses JT. I wanted to be a little different, okay? I also knew that JT was gonna win, and I don't know. When I watch a season, I don't know. I just tend to go for one of the underdogs, and Steven was really the definition of this underdog. Like, he was the sidekick of JT. Everyone loved JT. And Steven was just like the other guy, you know, that ugly friend of the hot guy, you know what I mean? Like, he was that. And I don't know, I feel bad for him. Second chances, he didn't really get his second chance. I think he did pretty well. I honestly don't really remember how he did, but yeah, Steven. And also I listened to his podcast with him and Rob Sesternino. That made me choose him as well. But yeah, Steven Fishback. Next up, we have, honorable mention, we have Taj, by the way. I really liked her. She was cool. Next up, we have Samoa, and this one's really surprising. I chose Laura. Now, Laura, the mother of Sierra, I just really liked her in this season. She was funny when she was like, guess what? The good thing is, there's fish in the ocean. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked her in both her seasons. I feel like she was pretty underrated, especially in like the challenges. I feel like she did really well. And this season was all about Russell Hantz. Like, this season was Russell Hantz. Like, when you think of Samoa, you think of Russell Hantz. You don't think of Natalie White, who won the season. You don't think of like the two people I think of when I think of Samoa is him and the winner, Natalie. Like, you don't think of anyone else. And this was his season. I went to the season knowing that. I actually saw Heroes vs. Villains before I saw Samoa. So, you know, so I didn't really root for Russell. I knew how much of a villain he would be. But with that being said, he was my favorite guy, because who else are you going to choose for that season? Like, there's literally no one else you could choose for that season. You had to choose Russell. Like, even if you hated him, like, I don't know. Am I going to choose Mick or Brett or Dave? Nah, I say Russell. And then Heroes vs. Villains. Now, we have Parvati again. As you can see, Parvati is one of my favorite players of all time. And in fact, in my top 20 players, she was the highest ranked person out of anyone like prior to season 20. Now I'll explain why later. But I chose her because, like, she's that hot girl again, man. What can I say? I'm a guy. I'm a straight male. I tend to like hot girls, you know. You know what I mean? So I chose her. I also like Sandra, because who doesn't like Sandra? I like Danielle as well. And an honorable mention is Russell Hantz, just because there was no other guys that really performed like that well in that season. It was a predominantly female-led season other than Russell Hantz. So I chose Russell. He was just like the antagonist of the season to Sandra and Parvati, I think. So I chose him. Next up we have Nicaragua, where I chose Brenda. Yes, Brenda. Now, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. The first season I ever saw was Caramoan, the 26th season, and I fell in love with Brenda. And I don't know, she was like, I was like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. So that's kind of a spoiler for later. But I ended up choosing Brenda for this one. She wasn't even like, when I watched Nicaragua after I saw Caramoan, she didn't really like play the way that she played in Caramoan. She was like more cutthroat, more mean. And so I guess she changed the way she played for the newer season, but I chose her. I really liked her. As you can tell in my top 20 video, she's my #1. So there's that. And my honorable mention was Judd Fabio. You know, he was just that unassuming, like, bro, dude, surfer dude. No one thought of anything of him. So I chose him for that. Next up, we have Redemption Island, aka Rob Marin. How do you say his last name? Mariano? Rob Mariano. Boston Rob. This was Boston Rob's season. This was his season that he just dominated, man. Like, it was crazy how well he did in that season. Like, the other tribe, they knew, they're like, okay, we gotta get rid of Russell Hantz, man. There's no way we're gonna play with him. But then his tribe, they just like him, Philip, was Andrea on his tribe? I really don't remember. It's been a while. But they just latched onto him. That was crazy, man. Like, Rob, he played amazing that season, and he deserved the win. And it was really his season. There's really no one else I could have chosen. But anyway, like, and then an honorable mention, I chose Andrea because why not? Okay, South Pacific, Ozzy, and this might be, okay, this is Ozzy's first appearance. He was an honorable mention earlier, but Ozzy was great in this season. I really liked him. He was just like, I don't know, he kept getting doubted. Like, remember, didn't he get voted out like 3 times, if I'm not mistaken? I'm probably mistaken. He probably only got voted out twice. But this was, of course, a Redemption Island twist. And I don't know, like, just rooting for him because he's like that classic player, you know? Like the player from the 13th season, and he's still like a challenge beast. And I don't know, I found myself like cheering for him. I didn't really cheer for Sophie that much, to be honest. Like, I don't know, she's one of those weird winners where, like, I don't know, she wasn't really that likable. But with that being said, she was my honorable mention because I couldn't really think of any other girls I really liked in that season. Like, I think of South Pacific, maybe Dawn, probably not. Her Caramoan actions kind of ruined that for me. Maybe Whitney. I honestly don't remember anything about Whitney, so I just chose Sophie. Why not? Next up, we have One World. I recently rewatched One World for. I really don't know why I rewatched it. I was like, It was a while since I saw it, and I was like, maybe having people on the same island or same like beach could be interesting, you know? So I was like, let me rewatch it. Why not? But yeah, and I found myself really like cheering for Troyzan. Like, I don't remember liking him that much the first time I watched, but like rewatching it was like, wow, I really liked Troyzan in this. Like, he was that likable dude, you know? He was basically getting dominated by the women, which was pretty unfortunate because all the guys just like kind of not turned on him, but like all the girls pretty much just like really dominated that season. And them getting out Bill was probably the turning point, because they literally won immunity, and like they won immunity, and then they're like, we have a snake in the group, and they literally gave immunity to the women, which was crazy. Like, that could have never happened in any other season, but it happened in that season, and that's what really like ruined the guys' game. And was why Kim Spradling is one of the greatest players of all time, who should come back, I think. Bring her back for Heroes vs. Villains 2. By the way, is Heroes vs. Villains 2 not going to be season 40? If it's not, then Survivor has a really big issue. Because it'll be aesthetically pleasing if the 40th season is Heroes vs. Villains 2. Because the greatest season of all time was season 20, Heroes vs. Villains. And if it's not Heroes vs. Villains 240, I'm going to be really upset. I don't know, I just saw a rumor about that. I didn't look into it because I didn't want to be disappointed. Anyway, let's move on. The honorable mention for that one was Chelsea. I really like Chelsea. She was on my top, she was on my top 15. Was it 15 or 20? I think it was 20. But she was on my top 20 hottest girls list. She was 19. I don't know, I just really liked her. I tend to like Southern girls with dimples. I don't know. But yeah. Next up we have Philippines. The very last season I didn't see live. Finally, gosh. So Philippines, I just chose Malcolm just because he was like the guy, you know. He was just the guy everyone liked. I chose him. Honestly, I didn't really remember who I really rooted for in this season. I probably rooted for like, I don't know. I just chose Malcolm. Honorable mention Denise. Let's just move on to Caramoan. This season has a place in my heart because it was the very first season I watched live. My very first season I ever watched, really, because like how I got into Survivor. My parents were always into Survivor. They literally watched it a lot, and I don't know. I just never like was into it. Like I would see them watching it, and I would just walk past and like, okay. This was when I was like 13, I want to say. I was like, okay. And then one day my parents were like, hey Mark, you want to watch it with us? I'm like, fine. And I watched it. I'm pretty sure it was Caramoan. I'm pretty sure it was the very first episode of Caramoan, I want to say. I was watching, I'm like, dude, this is amazing. This is great. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I ended up just getting into Survivor a lot more than my parents are. Like, they're not even watching it extinction than I am. I'm at college and I'm watching it. But yeah, Caramoan just has a place in my heart. It was the season that got me into Survivor. And the reason why I'm into Survivor is because of Cochran, John Cochran. My very first winner. I don't know. I feel like that first winner always has a place in your heart. Like John Cochran was the very first person I ever saw win Survivor, so he automatically was all the way up on my list. Like you saw in my top 20 video, it was him and Brenda. Like they were the two people that got me in Survivor. I loved Cochran just because of his strategic play and his smartness and his underdog persona. And I loved Brenda because she was hot and she was nice and she was cool. So yeah. With that being said, Brenda was my honorable mention. I didn't choose Brenda as the number one just because I already chose her for Nicaragua. So yeah, Cochran, best person from that season. Next up we have Blood versus Water. Now this was a good season. I really liked this season a lot. It's just that family dynamic. It was just like, it was crazy. Especially Sierra voting out her mom, that was crazy, you know. But in the end, I chose Tyson as my favorite character in this one. It's because he was so cool, man. Just his cockiness, his drive to win after his girlfriend was voted out. It was funny because the winner of this season and the Blood vs. Water 2, both of their person got voted out like early. Like with him, I think his girlfriend got voted out twice, second or third, one of those. And then obviously Nadia got voted out first in her season. But anyway, this isn't about her season. This is about Blood vs. Water, and I chose Tyson. He was just the very first guy that I saw that dominated the season. Just because, you know, Cochran, he didn't really dominate his season. He was kind of underdog. But Tyson was the head guy of everything in that season. He was the guy, and he kind of had the most experience out of everyone in that season, I want to say, other than Rupert, who didn't really count because he got voted out first. He didn't get voted out. He took for his wife, which is a very Rupert thing for him to do. But anyway, that's not about him. Tyson, he was my favorite person that season, and honorable mention was Sierra. I thought Sierra was pretty cute, and she ended up being one of the most iconic players in Survivor history, which is pretty crazy because going into that season, you wouldn't think that tiny girl would make that much of a statement, and she ended up playing 3 times. Let's not talk about the 2 other times she played. Those weren't that good, but yeah. Cagayan, one of, if not my favorite season. Now this is, I want to say this is my favorite season I watched live because, you know, Caramoan, it has a place in my heart, but it wasn't the best season, you know. But Cagayan, there's so many iconic players, so many returnees, so many personalities. It was crazy. There's so many people you could root for. My person I rooted for was Spencer all the way. From the get-go, Spencer was my guy. I love Spencer just because he was the smart young guy like me. I just kind of saw myself in him. It was this genius who just from the very beginning, his tribe was awful. That tribe with Jatia and Tasha and Cass, that tribe was awful. And then he still ended up getting pretty far. And although he hadn't won yet, that was a great season for him. I mean, and of course, how can you like Tony? I mean, Tony was just great that season. One of, if not the greatest winner of all time. That's a pretty big statement. He's definitely the greatest recent winner post Heroes vs Villains. But anyway, Spencer, he was my favorite person that season, along with Wu. I loved Wu. In my second chance video, I chose him to win, which was pretty stupid. I probably should have just chose Spencer to win. That would have made more sense. But I chose Wu. He's another honorable mention. Like, I liked Wu a lot just because he was that bro, dude. You know, he was just like that bro, that nice, cool bro. And I also like Tasha. Like, she was cool. She was my honorable mention girl. Next up, we have San Juan del Sur. And you can probably attest to this one. I loved Keith. I loved Keith in this season, dude. Keith was just, I feel like everyone loves Keith, man. He was just like that old guy who just like, it was so funny. He was just that old southern dude. He was like, what is he doing here? I want to say he was the last guy in both of his seasons. I'm probably wrong about that, actually. I really don't remember, but oh no, he wasn't last season. He wasn't the last guy in his second season. Jeremy won. But anyway, like Keith, he was just such like, him and his son were like, I remember the first episode, he was like, you got enough. What did he say? Something about a rock. He was just great, and I didn't really expect to like him that much, like at the beginning of the season. But he grew on me, definitely. Like he was great. I just loved him. I also really liked Baylor. I just thought she was hot, to be honest. Like she was, I don't know, like she was in my top 20 hottest girl video, and I feel like people were probably surprised. I don't know, just found her really attractive. She had that face, you know, that just like face. I'm probably the only person who thinks that. But anyway, let's move on to season 30. Worlds Apart, and I loved Haley. Like, Haley is, if you hadn't tell from my top 20 video, Haley was just, I found her so attractive, dude. Like, when I first saw her in that season, I'm like, oh my gosh, she is literally perfect. I don't know, she's like right in my like type. She didn't have the best body, you know, she was kind of skinny. I like skinny girls. She was small. I really like small girls. Like, that's just my type. I don't know. I was like, dude, I love Haley. Even though she didn't do like that well in that season, she was the first jury member in both seasons she was in. But I don't know. I just found myself just rooting for her, and like, she's like, I don't know. I just really loved her. Along with Jen. I loved Jen. Like, if there can be like two people for any season, I'll put her and Haley. I loved Jen this season just because, like, I don't know, like, I just really liked her. The way that she like overcame all the odds, like that one tribal where she used the idol on herself against someone. I don't remember who went home. That was a while ago, but like Jen was awesome in that season. I loved Jen. I loved her and Haley, and yeah. So, and then honorable mention was Mike, just because he was a Texas guy. You know, I'm from Texas, Houston. You know, so I had to choose him. Next up, we have Second Chancers, where my favorite was Kelly Wentworth. Kelly Wentworth. Okay, here's the thing. I was very confused when Kelly Wentworth was brought back for a second season. I was like, why is she here? She didn't do anything her first season, you know. She was like one of the first people out, you know. She didn't really do anything that season. But going into this season, like getting out of that season, she was one of my favorite players of all time. She was just like that underdog. She won idols, won challenges. She was just, I loved Kelly so much. In fact, I want to go rewatch that season just for Kelly. Like, I loved her in that season, man. And the fact that like I counted her out like quickly. Like, even you can watch my second chance prediction video. I think I put her like 19th. Like, that's crazy. Like, looking back at like, wow, I was really that stupid enough to put her at 19th or 18th. I don't know. I put her as one of those. Imagine she would go down as one of the worst players of all time. But instead, she's one of my favorite, and now she's in edge of extinction, and I really want her to win, even though I don't think she's gonna win. Like, I don't think a returning player is gonna win. But yeah. And then of course Jeremy won the season, but my honorable mention was Keith again, making his second appearance on the list. Let's go, Keith. So next up, we have Kyle Rowan, the second the second Brain, Brawn, Beauty, and I chose Aubrey, our second returnee of the list. Now Aubrey, I don't know, I didn't expect much from Aubrey, just like Kelly. I didn't really expect much from her because Aubrey, in the first episode, she was literally in the shelter crying. I was like, oh no, this girl ain't gonna do anything. Hell no, she's not gonna do anything. I was going to the season, I was like an Eve, you know, Eve. I thought she was cute. Her name Eve? I think her name was Eve. I have to recheck that. I'll probably put whatever her name is. But I thought she was gonna do well. But no, it was freaking Aubrey. She was amazing. She played extremely well. She was strategic. She won challenges. She had a lot of like alliances, and then all like her alliances went down the drain when what's his face, Neil, got voted out, and she still ended up getting all the way to the final tribal. And if the jury wasn't as petty like Scott and Jason, she probably would have won that season. She probably should have won that season over Michelle, arguably. Like, if any runner-up should have won their season, I feel like she should be the one. But anyway, enough with Aubrey rant. Again, I hope she does really well in Edge of Extinction, just because she's one of my favorite players of all time. Like, in my top 20 video, she was number 3, and that's pretty high praise. So yeah, I chose her. And then honorable mention, I chose Ty just because, I don't know, Ty's just like that little likable dude you really like. Next up, we have Millennials vs. Gen X. Millennials vs. Gen X is really one of my favorite seasons. There's just so many like personalities. It's kind of like it was kind of like let's call it Brain Brawn Beauty, the first one. There's just so many personalities. There was Zeke, there was Michaela, there was Jay, there was David, there was Ken, Hannah, and then the winner Adam. There's just so many like great people to choose from, and I ended up choosing Zeke just because like I found myself really cheering for him most of the season because I really liked him. He was just that quirky dude who turned out to be transgender, which I found even cooler. And he was just like that quirky like dude who like wasn't really a millennial. Like he was like an old soul. So it was like interesting just seeing him like bond with like the younger people and then bond with older people, especially like Chris. So yeah, I chose Zeke for my favorite, and then my honorable mention is Michaela, just because Michaela was amazing. She was great in that season up until her getting blindsided by Jay, who was also one of my favorite people. I like Jay a lot too, but yeah. So Michaela was my honorable mention. She probably should have went farther in that season. She ended up getting her second chance where she did pretty well, which is the next season in Game Changers, where I chose Sarah. Yeah, I chose Sarah. I did that. I chose Sarah. Sarah was great, dude. I love Sarah so much. I didn't really, kind of like Kelly and Aubrey, I didn't really expect much from her this season just because she didn't do that well in her first season. You know, she made that alliance with Tony, and then Tony turned his back on her, and she ended up being the first jury member. But going into this season, she played a much low-key game, much like kind of low-key, kind of more strategic game, where she didn't play like a cop, she played like a criminal. I actually rewatched the season recently, and like now knowing that like she won, it gave me a perspective like, wow, just like she played great that season. She wasn't like the biggest name out there, and there were some big names. There was Sari, there was Sandra, there was Ozzy, you know, there was Aubrey. She wasn't the biggest name. She didn't have the biggest resume, but she ended up winning an all-star season, which was amazing. The only 3 people to win like a fully all-star season is her, Amber, and Parvati, 3 women. I thought that was great, you know. So I really liked her in that season. She was just great in challenges. She was great socially. She was one of the greatest strategic players I think of all time, and she was really underrated. And yeah, I chose her. And then like honorable mention, I chose Zeke again. I already said why. Next up, we have Heroes, Healers, Hustlers. This was a strange season to me. I didn't really like it that much, but it did give me one of my favorite contestants of all time, and that was Devin. Devin was great, dude. I didn't really come into this season with any expectations for Devin, because I didn't really see him that much in like any of the promos, you know. Like I went in that season going for Ryan. Remember Ryan, that skinny dude who never had a girlfriend, never been in a relationship? I went for him, which is crazy looking back because he did so bad. Like I remember, like I always choose a person I go for like at the beginning of the season. Like in that season, it was him. Like that's crazy to me because he did so bad. He ended up being like one of the more forgettable players of all time. Like he made it to the end, but like he played a terrible game. But I ended up going for his right-hand man, Devin. I feel like Devin played one of the best games ever. And if he would have made it to the final tribal, I bet he would have won. Just because he played great strategically, he was great, a great social player, a great physical player, and no one knew that he was behind anything. Like I remember just one episode, he was just like orchestrating everything, and no one even cared. No one even like thought that he was orchestrating everything. It was crazy. So yeah, like Devin, I really wish they bring him back because he's one of those rare like athletic young guys who like didn't get targeted because of his strength. He rolled along, and it was great. I love Devin so much in that game. In fact, I kind of want to rewatch that season just to see how he did again. Like doing this video makes me want to rewatch a lot of these seasons. But Next up we have Desi. I'm sorry. Honorable mention for that season was Desi. I just had a crush on her, to be honest. She, like, I don't know, like, she was another one of those like adorable girls I just found like really liked on my screen. So like, yeah, I don't know. That could be like a bold take. I don't really hear anyone like having a crush on Desi. In fact, I bet everyone was pretty surprised that she was on my top 20 hot girls list. But what are you gonna do? Next up, we have Ghost Island, and I chose Wendell because I chose him to win the game, and he did win the game. He did win the game, you know? So with that has a place in my heart. He was the very first person I ended up predicting winning the game, because like all the other times before, I was dead wrong. So he was the first person I literally chose to win from the beginning, and he did win. So yeah, and he also responded to me on Instagram when I asked him who he got winning this season, and that was amazing. He was one of my favorite contestants, and he interacted with me, so that was great. You know, he was, yeah, I'll put that, yeah. And then honorable mention was Kellen. Kellen was a girl like I didn't really like have any expectations for again, like, and she played pretty well. Like she was that likable girl, likable person, you know, and that's what ultimately got her voted out. And she played pretty well. She was strategic. She was physically demanding, and yeah. And in our last season, David versus Goliath, I chose Davey, another guy I had no expectations for. I didn't think Davey was gonna do that well. I thought he was gonna be one of those merge people, you know. I didn't think he was gonna have a strategic bone in his body, you know. I thought this season was gonna be all about Christian and Gabby, you know. I thought they were gonna do a showmance, which was kind of awkward whenever I realized Christian had a girlfriend. But Davey played amazing. Davey, I believe, if he would have gotten to the finals, he might have beaten Nick. I don't know. That's a bold statement, but I don't know. I feel like Davey played an amazing game. That when he played the idol for Christian, that came out of nowhere, you know. And then like the whole alliance with Nick and Christian and Gabby, like I don't know. And then he found idols. He was pretty good socially. He had a relationship with everyone, you know. I don't know. I just really liked Davey. I went to that season going for Gabby. I thought she was gonna win, but she ended up being kind of an emotional wreck, to be honest. I still really liked her. Also kind of a crush on her. She was, I don't know, I found her adorable. I found her like, I don't know, I just really found her really, really adorable. But yeah, Davey is my final one, and that is it for this video. This video actually went, so as I'm recording this, is 39 minutes. So yeah, it's going about as long as my prediction video. So I'll probably have to cut it up a little bit. Maybe not. I actually think I can't, because I think I'm gonna leave everything in here. But I want to know what you think. Who were your favorite contestants from each season? You don't have to put everyone. Just put like your favorite contestants, not just like the best people of each season, just like the one that you rooted for. Whether it be you had a crush on them, whether it be you just like how they are, where you like the underdog. That's another thing. A lot of these people are underdogs. I tend to root for the underdog. I don't know, because I'm kind of an underdog, you know. I didn't really like, you know, I didn't really get things in life. And like when I see like these underdogs like Christian and Davey get on the show and like do well, it just makes me happy. Like, I don't know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to make a lot more of these. If you have like any ideas for what videos I should make Survivor related, that would be great. Some ideas I have are like maybe the top 10 greatest Survivor players, you know, maybe the top 10 worst Survivor players. That's gonna piss off a lot of people. But anyway, if you enjoyed, I'm hoping to, you know, turn into more of a Peridium channel, you know, just discussing Survivor, my favorite thing of all time, you know. I love Survivor, and I'm rambling again. So, anyway, have a great day, and drop your buffs.
Peter, I'm Slam Town. Let's go.